Hello there, you're welcome to another tutorial on SC I'm Sir Classy, and in this tutorial you're going to learn the top 5 vocal mixing tips we use to start up and even enhance our mixing workflow right here in the studio. Hit the subscribe button and let's get started. Alright, so before we get started with the tips, there's some things I want you to make sure you have in check before you even start mixing. First of all, ensure you have a clear and well recorded vocal. The vocal should be clear, free from as much noise as possible, free from buzz and room echoes because it can be difficult taking those out. Secondly, make sure you're using quality mic cables. You're using a pop filter and you're using a mic stand so that your hand will not start like the rubbing of your hand will not get into the microphone. You don't want your hand rubs on the microphone. That can be very, very difficult to take out if at all it can be taken out. And also the pop filter help reduce the sibilants like the S and the B's and the pops and all of that helps take care of that as well. And also if you don't have maybe a well treated room, you can record in a closet or you can hang some curtains around you to absorb the echoes so that you can have a less reverbish or echoey vocal recording. So now that you know that, let's get started with the tips. First of all, when you're mixing, make sure you get the tempo and also make sure you sort the tracks by name, and if you wish you can color them if you can. This will help you save a lot of time, especially when you have gone very far in the mix and you want to make some decisions halfway. So I'm going to show you how to quickly get the tempo and how to sort your tracks and even name them and have them grouped in the mixer. So to get the tempo, you click the beat, right click, come to detect tempo, 75 to 150. For most Afro beats, you say 107, and then we listen to see if it's correct. Turn on the metronome. Try somewhere here again. All right, that sounds correct. Then next thing we do is we're going to name this. We're going to rename, change name and color. We'll name this beats. We can leave that color. Then you normalize to see the track information. You can normalize all of them first so that you know exactly what's going on in each track. It seems like an empty track, so we'll take that out. You normalize this again. This is like another empty track. You normalize, this is another empty track. And you normalize this. Let's listen to this and see. Okay, this seems like the master exports. We'll take that out. We don't want doubled versions of the recording. So let's normalize this again. And this. And this. So when we listen, yeah, we can tell this is some of the intro vocal. See my love, oh, you can't see my love, oh, you can't see my love. Then body but you. So we'll split this, come here, split this, we'll name this right here, change, we'll name this intro vocals, change the color, and we'll make this unique and we'll rename it as well. We'll name this back up 1 and we'll change the color as well, something like this. All right, so I think this is the lead vocal, so we'll rename this lead vocal. We'll color code it. You can use any color you wish, doesn't really matter. We'll also rename this. Since we already have backup 1, we'll just name this backup only. We don't need to add a suffix. Let's use a brighter color. All right, so here we can name this backup, rename and color. You can name this backup 2. Make sure you listen to the tracks before making any changes as to how you name them. You listen to them all together first before you start naming them, because I've already listened to them, so I know what is kind of going on. So this also I'll make unique, and I'll rename and color. Let me backup 3. Let me give it this color right here. All right, so we have our tracks named and color coded, and then we'll select all of this. Select beats, this lead vocal. You hold your control and shift to select, and you link all of it to the mixer. And you can arrange them also on the mixer by holding alternate. If you want the beats to start as the first channel right here, alternate. You can see that the beats now here. And if I want the lead vocals to come, I'll click on lead vocal, alternate, and also. And if I want backup 1 to come next, so if I want the intro vocal also to come last, you can have it there. If you want backup 2 and 3, you can select both and push them forward. All right, so now we have this all sorted on the mixer, and it will be easy for us to find all we need while mixing without making any mistake. All right, so the second tip for you while mixing, or rather before mixing, is you gain stage after grouping your tracks on the mixer. Gain staging help you get some balance even before you start mixing. It helps you know exactly how the track should sound like. It gives you a very good idea of how the track should feel, what should go where, and all of that. So we'll normalize everything here. You see, we already have all our tracks normalized. Normalize does not clip your track, so if you can normalize it, normalizing it's just like it basically makes it a bit louder, but without clipping your tracks. So, and everything, like I said, is already linked to the mixer. So let's listen and see. So let's do some simple gain staging. So we'll start with the beats. And we can turn everything else off so you can be more focused. You don't have to increase the lead vocal all the way up here. Always keep your vocals, or rather your mixer tracks, below 0. It should always be minus or at most 0. It should never be 0 point anything. So listen. All right, so then we'll come to the next track. So let's come to the next track. All right, then we'll come here for the main intro vocals. You want to make sure that the vocals is kind of seated on the drums, and kind of like a little bit sunk into the melodies. You should have this flow, but since you're against staging, it doesn't have to be perfect yet. You just have to find balance in loudness. I don't see my lover. I don't see my lover. Oh, you don't see my lover. Oh, you don't see my lover. She says she want my body on top her body now. All right, then we'll come here and listen. You reduce that as well. My baby say
want anybody else but taboo, but taboo. My baby says she don't want anybody else, so oh yeah, do maybe, oh my baby, oh oh, gum body but you. My baby
Then we'll
says she
come
don't
here.
want anybody else but taboo, but taboo. My baby says maybe, oh my baby, oh oh, gum body, gun chop money, oh yeah, do maybe.
All right, so this is not perfect, but it's a great start for gain staging the vocals. Pardon me. It's a great start for gain staging the vocals, and when you listen all through, you can see how everything sounds. It all blends.
I don't see my love,
Mr. Khalid.
She say she want my body on top her body now. She say I get it till they make her body bam, oh yeah.
All right. So the next one we're going to do is we're going to try and get rid of the noise. That is for tip number 3. Take out any noise, pops, sibilants, anything that just makes the vocal recording dirty. Like this recording is not perfect. You can hear some noise.
She say she want my body on top her body now. She say I get it till.
So now what we're going to do is we're going to come. That is the lead vocal.
She say she want.
Then we're going to use a software called any noise removal software is good, but I just prefer the one from Isotope Ozone, which is voice the noise. You just leave it on adaptive mode. You don't need to do anything is extra. Just leave it as it is. Then you listen.
She say she want my body on top her body now.
Let me turn it off. You can hear the noise floor level.
She say she want my body.
Then the next thing we do is we're going to add the hum to get rid of that buzz hum you hear.
She say she want my body on top her body now. She say I get it till.
Let me turn it off so I hear the difference.
She say she want my body. She say she want my.
Because sometimes if you record maybe in a noisy place where maybe you have a motor sound running or you have a poor mic cable that generates a lot of hum, you can use the dehum noise plugin, or even Waves has a dehummer as well. And then the next thing you want to take out is breaths. You want to make sure that all the breaths like the and all those sounds are out of the way. But at the same time, you have to be careful so it doesn't sound too artificial. So make it extra sensitive, and we may keep it very low here so that it can take out as much as possible.
She say she want my body on top her body now. She say I get it till.
You can see working.
Her body bam, oh yeah. She love every time I hold her hand down wear her crown. And she say my baby don't.
And it doesn't sound unnatural, so you take out the breath, and the last thing we'll take out is the mouth, the click, like those lip noises. We don't want that in the recording, so we'll take that out as well, and we leave it natural. We don't do anything crazy here, just leave it as it is.
She say she want my body on top her body now. She say I get it till they make her body bam, oh yeah. She love every time I hold her hand down where
So let me turn off the effects completely and you listen to how this vocal sounds.
She say she want my body on top her body now.
And now listen to how it sounds now.
She say she want my body on top her body now. She say I get it till they make her body bam, oh yeah.
So you can see we've taken out the noise. These are common noise problems you get in most vocal recordings. So we've taken that out. And the next thing we're going to work on is how to control the dynamic range of the vocal. We want to make sure that it's all controlled, like that is using a compressor, so some parts do not sound overly louder than some parts in the same vocal track. Especially for singers. Singers can easily get very dynamic, especially if they want to express their emotions. So we'll come right here. Any compressor is fine, but I like using Fruity's default compressor because it doesn't add any coloration to it. So I have the threshold, just my I found out that over time I've been mixing most threshold settings, like for most vocals that comes my way. Halfway is a good place to start, taking it halfway, then bringing the attack below 10. It could be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Any of them is fine, but you have to really listen to your own track and list and see what it needs. Then my ratio anywhere between 3.5 to 4.5. And then we leave the release as it is right here, and then we listen.
My body on top my body now.
It sounds overly compressed, so we reduce the threshold. Remember, those parameters I shared with you, those were just starting guides. They were not key or set in stone. Those are just starting guides to start with.
My body on top my body now. And she say I get it in with they make a body.
So let's turn the beat on and see how it sounds.
My body on top my body now. And she say I get it in with they make a
Now,
body.
now it sounds like the vocals is lost in the beats, and what you can do is you compensate the gain, because when you adjust the threshold, you're actually reducing the overall loudness of the track coming into the compressor. So we compensate for some gain here by doing this, but don't go too crazy all the way here. Just a little, always less than 10 dB for your gain compensation. Anything more than that, you have to adjust it from the mixer.
My body on top my body now. And she say I get it in with they make a body bam. Oh yeah. She love every time I hold her hand down where I crown. And she say my baby don't leave me and don't let me down. So baby
All right, so we've got that set, and the next thing we'll do is EQ. Now, when you are EQing your vocals, this is very important because you can easily tell a pro mix and amateur mix sometimes by the way the EQ is done. A lot of amateur mixing engineers cut all the way through and make the vocal sound so thin, like this,
my body on top my body now.
or like
She
this.
say I get it in with they make a
Now,
body.
now what that does is that you've taken out a lot of the body from the vocals. So when you are cutting or boosting, you be very very moderate with it. You don't go crazy. So let's reset this. So we'll come to type a high pass to take out some of the low end rumble. So we're listing now for low end rumbles, or rather for vocal range for the low end. Usually, you get a lot of the low end rumble around 50 hertz to 150 hertz. And when you start getting approaching 100 hertz, you have to be careful because some mics or some vocal types can have a lot of bass and they have a lot of energy at the low end. So you don't want to sweep away all that energy. So you have to be very very careful with your EQ around from 80 to 100 hertz and above.
My body on top my body now. And she say I get it in with they make a body.
And then the next thing you can do for your vocal is to take out resonant frequencies. So let's listen again and see.
My body on top my body now. And she say I get it in with they make a body bam. Oh yeah. She love every time I hold her.
So we take this down a little bit and we listen again. 2 is fine most times, or highest 3, but 2 bands to sweep across for resonant frequencies is fine.
My body on top my body now. And she say I get it in with they make a body bam. Oh yeah. She love every time I hold her hand down.
All right, so let me turn off all the effects so far and you hear the difference. Let's listen.
My body on top my body now. And she say I get it in with they make a body bam. Oh yeah.
So let's turn it on and listen.
My body on top my body now. And she say I get it in with they make a body bam. Oh yeah. She love every time I hold her hand down where I crown. And she say my baby don't leave me and don't let me down. So baby I
So those are our 5 tips for mixing vocals, to prepare the vocals for mixing and even the mixing process as well. I didn't talk about things like tuning, reverb, and the rest, but I feel like those things are kind of unique to the vocal style you really want to do, because not all vocals can be tuned. Like, there's some kind of rap vocals that you don't tune, and there are some other type of artists that just don't like tuning of vocals at all. So not all vocals are tuned. So that's why I didn't talk about tuning or to tune in this tutorial. And reverb as well depends on who you're working with. But these tips I just shared is common for almost every genre, every vocal style, every artist. They will need to have gain staging. The vocals will need to be free from noise. They'll need some control, dynamic control as well, and also take out bad frequencies from the vocals as well. So if you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up so that other people that will need this can easily find this tutorial. I remain Sir Classy. This is SC Tuts. Cheers.